Our Sonoma County Cab utilizes two principal subregions, Alexander Valley and Sonoma Valley, to make the finest Cabernet possible by blending the two regions. The Alexander Valley generally a little bit more fruit, a little softer. The Cabernet from Sonoma Valley a little more structure, a little bit bigger. By blending the two, we get an even better wine as a result. Today we're in our Sonoma Valley Estate Cabernet Vineyards right next to the winery in Sebastiani Vineyards. And here we're at a Cabernet vine, the Noble Cabernet, and you can see its distinctiveness here. It's certainly a vigorous growing vine. These are very old vines grown in the early, or planted in the early 80s. And you can see the distinctive Cabernet cluster, a lot of straggliness, small berries, gives it, the wine, a lot more power and concentration as a result. The Sebastiani Sonoma County Cabernet is, to me, a demonstrating the power and richness of Cabernet, the noble of all Cabernet or varieties out there for wine. And yet it has a velvety quality to it. I try to make Cabernets that have a lot of ripe blackberry and black cherry fruits, and yet not with the savage tannins that Cabernet can sometimes offer. And this is really important, I think, to have this balance in this wine, where you have both the power and yet you have the balance between the tannins and the alcohol and the acidity and the oak at the same time. But I really strive for a more California ripe, sunny, fuller bodied, rich style with the Sonoma County Cabernet. To me, this is what makes Cabernet so great from California. And in Sonoma County, we have that in spades. I deliberately picked this wine much riper than the other counterparts that I have making Sonoma wine. But more importantly, we have these great vineyard sources that we've been getting our Cabernet from. Both Alexander and Sonoma Valleys have always made outstanding wines from their sites. And so we've had this consistency. We've known how to farm it to make outstanding Cabernet. Here at Sebastiani Vineyards, we use a wide array of sources for our oak barrels, French, American, and Hungarian, depending on the wine that I'm making here. Our core barrel, however, for the Sonoma County Cabernet is the American oak. This particular cooper, World Cooperage, it's sourced in Missouri. I've been there in the mid-'80s making sure that they were milling it properly, and I find it's particularly compatible with the Sonoma County Cab because the Sonoma County Cab has this very upfront blackberry, black cherry fruit. It needs to be framed by the American oak, which can add that nice structure to it. It also adds really nice vanilla, shades of coconut and mocha at the same time, and adds a little sweetness to the palate. So I find this is really the most compatible and our core barrel for our Sonoma County Cab. Certainly I use a few other sources, French and Hungarian, but this is a core barrel. One thing that is a great flavor attribute to Sonoma Cabernet Sauvignon is the fruit. Of all the wine growing regions in California and practically the world, it really has the most fruit of all the Cabernets that you find. It really displays very bright blackberry and black cherry fruit, thanks to having a nice, cool, moderated climate from the hills and from the fog that we get from the ocean. Because of this, it really has this very inviting, drinkable quality at the same time. And this is what you find particularly over even our neighbor Napa, where They can make great Cabernet, but generally they make them a little bit more bigger and rustic. Here we have more fruit and more elegance to our Cabernets, which I think is a very inviting quality, particularly in its youth. And yet these wines will age extremely well because the fruit is still in the bottle and will hold up for many, many years. One other attribute about the Sonoma County Cabernet and Chardonnay, and for our Sonoma County wines in general, I don't strive to have high alcohol wines. I try to really moderate that level because I want this to be enjoyed in the table, and sometimes these higher alcohol wines can overwhelm fine food. In some ways don't age well and detract from early drinkability. So to me, it's really important to balance, again, the alcohol with the fruit and the oak and acidity. And with these Sonoma County wines, they're really meant to be enjoyed as soon as you buy them from the marketplace. Hence, I really don't make really big or monster style Chardonnay or Cabernet as a result.